you both scooch in a little closer to Patrick?
Yes. Yeah, really.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Come take a ride down memory lane. TGIF, 90s fashion and fame. Behind the scenes stories we've got plenty of. Laugh at all the jokes again, cause they're still holding up. Mostly. We're two stepsisters bonded, living Hollywood lives. Even if one of us is watching for the very first time, all the good, the bad, the barky, take a peek inside. Let's rewatch and relive the good times. Keanan and Lakin give you deja vu.
Hello, VIP studio audience, and welcome to the Patreon. I'm Christine Lakin,
And I'm Stacy Keanan.
and we are here with a very special guest,
Our most special guest yet.
Patrick Duffy.
There we go. Okay, yay.
And Merry Christmas to all of
Yes,
you.
Merry Christmas. Happy
Merry
New Year.
Christmas.
We are so happy to be here with all of you and celebrating this lovely holiday together. And we get to chat a little more with Patrick. So we're just thrilled to have you here. Now, do you have any holiday traditions with your family now that you are back amongst them? Are they all in this general area? Do you all see each other for holidays?
Linda lived in Colorado. I had the ranch in Oregon. All of that we took care of, and now we have one home in Los Angeles just so we could be near the kids and the grandkids. I have 4 grandchildren. My only tradition that I maintain is that every family should have their Christmas morning in their own home.
Okay.
Period. And don't come to Grandpa's house Christmas morning. It's not permitted. Because I just think that children, as they're growing up, that needs to be their grounding moment. Waking up, having that moment of what happened while I was sleeping in my own house, and they discover it, and it's magic. And when they're all in their late teens, yeah, fine.
Right.
Come over and do all of that, which they're getting very close now.
Wow.
But that's been that tradition. I guess the only other tradition is we've always, when Carlin and I had the boys, we opened presents on Christmas morning. But I know a lot of people open presents on the night before Christmas,
Eve.
kind of thing, or they get to open one on the thing. But we didn't. We did everything Christmas morning. If the kids got up before we did, they could do their stockings.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Stockings
Reasonable.
were free.
Okay.
No harm, no foul on stockings.
All right.
But leave the tree alone.
And were you an elaborate gift giver as when the kids were little?
Oh God, yes. Well, me not as much as Carlin. The boys, as all young people do because of advertising. One year Legos were very hot, so Carlin didn't just get a set of Legos. She got every Lego that was made.
Okay.
So, we were up to our ass in Legos. Just everywhere.
Right.
And then the Star Wars thing came out. Every Star Wars action figure, the Millennium Falcon. There we go. The Millennium Falcon. So Christmas Day was spent putting all this stuff together.
Right.
All of that. So everything that hit, the Christmas tree was overflowing. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But it was okay. We were in a position to be able to do that. And we did not, in my opinion, spoil the boys. They've adjusted very well to their poverty as they're making their own mark in the world. And they've struggled and succeeded and are establishing all of their own traditions. And I think that's important for them to do.
Yeah.
Well, and it's quite a contrast from when you and Carlin were first starting out, right? Because I remember stories about mung beans.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you tell the VIP studio audience what mung beans are?
Mung beans are beans. They're just like a pea or a bean. And it's what you make bean sprouts out of when you go to the store and buy bean sprouts. That's a mung bean. But they're high protein and they're cheap as can be. So we had no money. For Christmas, actually, I would go the Sunday before Christmas to the supermarket and get all the Sunday papers that they didn't sell because the comics were colored paper. And we'd wrap the presents in comics so that it would be colored paper for Pedrick. He was the only child at the time. And, you know, poor kid, we would give him like a wooden spatula, you know, and wrap it up because he didn't know the difference. It was a toy as far as he was concerned. He'd bang with it. You know, he was a year old. So we had no money for any of that. So, you know, those were lean times, you know, but the Christmas tradition was still magic for him.
Yeah.
You know,
mung beans or no mung beans.
Mung beans or no mung beans.
Well,
you know.
and then by the time we were all working together, you had a very rich tradition of joke gifts
Oh,
for us.
Oh, the gifts.
it was just for you guys, though. That was the tradition started when Step by Step started, and it ended when Step by Step ended.
Well, you may recall that you had a particularly atrocious pair of Florsheim slippers that you would wear about the set. They were horrendous. They looked like a leather loafer. Like they weren't warm and fuzzy or cute. They were just kind of loafery. And we would harass you to death. Do you remember this?
I do.
About the slippers.
We just thought they were so ugly and we could do better.
We wanted to recast the slipper, me, Angie, and Christine. So we would endlessly harass poor Patrick, who was just trying to go about his workday, surrounded by this sea of harassing children.
And they were free. They got him from wardrobe.
Clearly.
Well, yes, but they were super, super uncute.
Okay.
So then you returned the favor by getting all of us our own pair.
Right.
So not only did you get them in, I don't know, girl size somehow, which is shocking, but then you had them customized.
Yes.
Do these
Oh,
ring a bell
God.
for anyone?
They're so good. They're so bad that they're so good.
And you know who customized them?
Yes. Tell our VIP studio audience, though.
Suzanne's daughter designs all kinds of really wonderful things.
Oh, she's an amazing artist.
Leslie.
So, so I got all these slippers and then gave them to her. And I said, go to town and make them, you know, special. So she did.
They are relics. Look at these.
Yeah.
Look at them. Yes. So these say Miss K,
Miss
which
K.
is something you used to call me on the set. And as you can see, I've cherished them all these many long years.
Yes, and I can tell they've never been
I
worn.
have never, God forbid, I have never worn them for
Really?
God's sake. But
You could wear them to work.
no. So they are in. We have a shoe closet, and these are right at eye level, so I see them every day.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think of you. So yes.
And did you keep the little wooden house with all the dead animals in
We
it?
both did. We both
for
did.
many,
but then
many
eventually
years.
it fell apart. And at a certain
Yes,
point, Guy, my
it's
husband
very
Guy
sad.
said, it's not standing anymore. You have to let it go. But it was living in our living room for many years.
Okay.
So do you want to tell the story of that house? Because I don't know if the studio audience. VIP
Well, no, it was
studio
just
audience-
because you would harass me because Hagman and I would go, we would go hunting and fishing together.
yeah.
You know, not animals, but birds. Sorry.
Foul.
Fowl. They're called fowl for a reason. You have to shoot them. Spelled different, but it means the same. So Stacy was livid that I would do this. So for 1 year, I gave little birdhouses, but like little log cabin birdhouses. And in every window and door, I put a picture of me holding up a dead fish or a dead bird or something that I had killed with my own bare hands. And that was her Christmas present.
The amount of detail, I cannot imagine you sitting there cutting. I mean, it was so detailed how you cut out these photos and then stuck them on.
He either has to make a lanyard or a Christmas gift, one or the other. So that's what I gave. But I remember I went to Carlin and I went to France and we went to Carcassonne and they had these beautiful little pins with really beautiful little ladies and things. So I gave them to the women in the show, but I put yours on dead feathers of a bird that I'd killed. So,
See, this is what we're saying.
Yes, this is this is what we are talking about.
Yeah.
So, Lakin and I were
dear God.
not too long ago. We were at Jingle Ball.
which I have no idea what that is.
It's a concert. It's a lot of very hot and up and coming artists.
Okay.
Yes, when we got invited, we had a riotous
Jingle
time,
Ball?
the two of us.
Jingle Ball, yes.
Okay.
And then we
I'm
took
already afraid.
They took us for a little spin through the gifting suite, and there we could not help but think of you, because who was in the gifting suite but Bombas? And they had these very presentable and respectable and handsome looking slippers. So naturally, we thought of you.
You think those are better than the ones I was wearing on
Look
the
how
show?
Yes,
cute they
Look
are.
at this. Look, now they're cute.
fuzzy.
Not cute.
You know,
cute.
you-
Look, not cute. They're good
have
grippy.
they've got
Oh, I
grippy
was
and
gonna
it's
say-
fluffy inside. Look.
It's a good
They're
thing I
so
don't have
good.
stairs in my
Insert of
home. I'd
this
slip
fluff
down
on
the
the
stairs,
inside of
break
these
my neck, and it would be all for you guys.
Listen, we are thinking of you, but we are also thinking of Linda.
Yes.
So
Oh, yeah,
Linda
that's
does
gonna
not
be a
have to
big
look
hit
at
with her.
this, but she can look how cute these are.
I'll wear them to bed. She'll really get a kick out of that.
Well, it's better than the ice cold toe in the middle of the night.
You don't know I've got ice cold toes. I could be just the coziest little foot warmer you ever.
Toasty
They're
toes.
lovely, and I appreciate them so much.
See, this is what we've been up against all
All
many
these years.
And that poor Linda is looking at this. This in
This
man
hush puppy.
size. A hush, goddamn
Size
Florsheim
11 hush
nightmare.
puppy.
Yeah, really.
Ugh.
But well designed, though. That's beautiful work.
I mean, yes.
She did great work. But
All
thank
right.
you.
Well, so much for that. We tried. Linda, we tried.
We
okay?
tried. Linda.
He's incorrigible.
Listen,
you
it's no
signed up
better.
for this.
It's no better for Linda. She's always yelling for my sister. She's going, Joanne, can you do something about him?
The answer is no.
So you also, a lot of people don't know this. You are also co-owner of a bar
Yes.
here
Yes,
in Los
here in
Angeles
Los
called
Angeles.
Broadwater.
Barkeep.
Yeah, it's called The Plunge at the Broadwater. About now, it's been 7 years ago, more than 7 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, a theater in LA, which at that point I think was called the Elephant Theater.
Yep.
And on Vine, and not that, you're all over the world with this, but Vine and Santa Monica, very good location. Hollywood. And they were going to sell it and tear it down. And it had 5 little theaters in it for not movie theaters, but theaters. And everybody was distraught about it. And so I bought that building to preserve the theaters. And we renovated 4 of them and made them all, new equipment in them and everything so that they could function. And we were about to do the 5th little theater in there. And my son, Pedrick, my eldest, said, Dad, there's not really a bar that is a gathering place for actors in this town. Not like New York that has, a couple of great Joe Allens and places like that where people just go after the theater. They go, and everybody knows everybody. So it's not, gawking tourists and everything. And so we made a bar out of that 5th space, which was the hardest thing to do in Los Angeles
I'm
that you can imagine. The joke, and it's really not a joke, Pedrick said to me once, he said, if I wanted to sell guns and marijuana in the same store, we could have done it in 3 months. And it took us almost a year to get the liquor license and the permits and everything. And but we persevered. We opened it, and it is truly a club, clubhouse for actors. It's very comfortable. It's not loud music. There's a library of theater books. People can come in and take anything they want. Hopefully they'll bring it back. And you can sit there. Every place you sit has a USB port, so you can bring your computer and work on your projects. And
great.
So there's the 4 theaters are up and running and pretty well booked all the time. And those people come in and have a drink, and then the clientele, when they see the plays, come in before or after and have a drink, and it's all this very synchronitic situation. And my son runs both. He runs the theaters and the bar.
It's great.
It's a very cool place. VIP studio audience. If you come to LA, check it out.
Yeah.
It is worth. It is a full vibe.
Yeah,
And
the plunge
Very,
at
very
the Broadwater.
It's
Yeah.
very cool. Very
Yes.
cool. And there's some memorabilia in there if you look hard enough from your life.
Well, there is
photos and
there's
whatnot.
there's photos, and we called it the Broadwater because I was born in Broadwater County, Montana, And the back bar is the back bar from Old Spa in the Broadwater County in Montana that was built in the late 1800s. And it's been in my family since I was born. And it was in storage at the ranch in Oregon until we decided to buy the bar. And Pedrick said, "Do you think that would fit?" And I drove it down here, and it's now in the bar.
It's quite beautiful.
It's really interesting and very comfortable and a good place to just come and hang.
It is. So check it out. Now, we have some wine here. This is the wine that Chris Castile brought over when he recorded a little episode of the pod. Check that out. Lots of laughs in that one. But are you a wine collector? Or were you?
I was back in the halcyon days of Dallas, which was a perfect time to buy wine in the early 80s. 1982 was probably one of the seminal moments of French wine. And at that point, I had the finances because of the show. And Leonard Katzman, I used to buy wine in gallon jugs that had a place to put your finger in so you could drink it like that. No kidding. When we, back in the mung bean days, and, our idea of really splurging whenever we got a little bit of money was to drink a thing called Lancers, which I don't even know if they make that anymore. So when Dallas started and Leonard saw what I was drinking, he said, no, come here. You and I are going to have a talk. And he introduced me to good French wine. And I was able to buy some good French wine at a time when A, I could afford it, and when B, it was at the height of its what with connoisseur productivity. 1982, again, one of the best years since 61. And then 85 was great. And all of those years I was on Dallas. So I bought cases and cases of wine. So, I had a cellar of maybe 3,000 bottles.
What?
Had? Well, where has it gone?
What? Yeah. Did you
Down the little red tube.
God.
No, I still have, I still have a couple thousand bottles of wine in storage, that I go to because you can't put them in your closet or the trunk of your car. So I rent some at a wine storage place. And then I go get a case or two and bring it to the house and we drink that. But I can't afford it now to buy French wine. It's so expensive, and I'm, not that I need to now because I have all this wine, but, there are good wines made for very reasonable prices in countries like Chile and Argentina and Australia and places like that are really good. They're not plonk. They're good wines. So, you don't have to, be a oenophile to have a good bottle of wine with your dinner, and you should.
Because I recalled certain read-throughs, table reads we would have on Step by Step, and you would have somebody on the phone bidding for you. But I remembered that as you had people bidding at art auctions, and Lakin thought it was wine auctions.
No, it was art auctions then.
Aha. Okay. So how did you get into collecting art?
When you're poor, my idea of art at that time was to get a poster and thumbtacks, and you put that up. And again, Carlin was the one who bought our first piece of original art, hand painted by a real person. It was a Charles Bragg small piece. Charles Bragg's a brilliant artist. And she was on tour, and it took, ballerinas, on tours, they don't make much money. It was basically a whole week's salary, and it was for my birthday, and she brought it back. And that was the sort of centerpiece of our little hovel that we lived in for so long. And when Atlantis, I didn't make enough money that we thought we could splurge because, we had a baby. But when Dallas started and we knew it was going to continue after about the second year, again, Ken Kercheval was on the show, and he was a real art collector, and he was knowledgeable, and she wanted to get something. He helped her check out some different things, and she bought a piece of art and gifted me on my birthday with that. And that really primed the pump. And so we started collecting. And we started collecting, A, we wanted to. B, it's beautiful to have good art and original art. And C, it was a good investment, as good as a CD or a savings account. We always referred to them as CDs that we hang on the wall.
Right.
You know, that I did all the research. I only bought things. I was not an adventurous collector. I didn't try and find a new artist, you know, that, oh boy, if he hits, it's going to be great. But if he doesn't, it's wallpaper, you know. So I would do a lot of research. I had all of the histories of you know, art auctions over the last like 30 years. And I would see and graph the rising prices of different artists. And I was, we both were very taken with mid-century American artists. I called them the work ethic artists from about the 1930s through the 60s, the Ashcan School. And so we started investing our income from Dallas and Step by Step in art. And then, you know, built a nice little gallery in our home in LA. And then when we sold the home and moved to Oregon, we built a little gallery there for it. And we had a reputable but not ostentatious collection. And then when Carlin passed, about the second year after she passed, and I was considering what I'm going to do with the ranch, I thought, well, the first thing is, you know, sell the art pieces. And I knew nothing about it, so I contacted Sotheby's, and they came up and assessed the art collection and took it on and did a whole big thing and took the entire collection to New York and did a whole thing of the art that Dallas bought. And it was lovely. And so I flew to New York and was there. It was almost like having a baby, you know. I was up in they had a little box for the people who had the art while it's being sold down there, and the bidding is going on. And oh my God, it was nerve-wracking.
I'm sure.
Oh, it must be so exciting.
It was very exciting. And it was CDs that accrued in value, and it was fine. It was a good thing to do. And I let the boys choose what they wanted, you know. Their tastes were not Carlin's and my tastes. So they picked, sentimentally, they each picked a couple of pieces that they wanted to have just for that reason. And the rest I sold at auction.
How many pieces do you think you accrued over that period of time?
Well, the auction had 47 pieces, I think, 47 paintings.
Wow.
And you know, the most modern one was Milton Avery and Andrew Wyeth and people like that. And then back into the Ashcan School of you know, the older artists. But yeah, it was a lovely collection.
Now, how did you choose that school as opposed to any other genre, you know, period or
what appealed to us? It's like in anything, you know, you can study art and then find out, or you can walk someplace and just be struck by something. You know, it's like falling in love. You know, did you make a list of what you wanted and no, it doesn't fit. No, it doesn't fit. Oh, that's pretty close. Come here. I think we can make a go of it. No, it's, you know, you go, boy, the ears are big and the tooth is crooked, but God, she's gorgeous. You know, so it's the same with art, you know. And then when you get it, it's very interesting because when I had it, it was on the wall. I would have a conversation with it for the 30 years that we had it. You know, every time you go into the room, you know. And the key also, as in a relationship, we would rehang it, put it in different places, give it a different environment so it speaks to you in a different way. I had stories that were, you know, made up in my mind, but they were relevant stories of provenance, of what does that mean? Where did it come from? What's going on? What happened just before and just after that? And, you know, all of those things. So that's the only way that I chose it. But I would also vet it. You know, I would say that artist, you know, that, hey, and sometimes it got down to that artist painting from that 5 years of his life, sold over the last 40 years at this rate and that thing. And all those records, you can buy the catalogs that give you those records on an annual basis. And that's what I would do. I would like an artist, I would look at it, and then I would go on the auction. And when that artist would come up, and I would set limits, you know. So that's when you're on the phone in the auction house. And I had my one person who would always represent me. And I would be on the phone with her. And it would get close to what my limit was, and then it would get to my limit. And she'd say, "You're going to go more?" And I'd say, "No, I don't want to go more." She'd say, "I think we can get it with one more." And so I'd say, "Go one more, and one more." And then the other person went up, and again, I'd say, "I'm out." So you really know that you're not a collector, but that you're in the game if you can bow out of the game. If it's not like gambling where you're just going to bet the house, and next week's salary and everything on it. I had rules and I stuck by my rules.
Wow, that is hard to do. Was there ever a white whale, a piece that you really, really wanted that got away? Or
Several pieces.
And was there one that you really, really wanted that you got?
Yeah, the Milton Avery was a piece that spoke to me, and also one of the Andrew Wyeths was a piece. I was doing a TV movie in Australia, and the Sotheby's catalog came to Carlin at the house, and it was back before our cell phones and everything. But when I did the film there, I asked the production crew to put a fax machine in my hotel room so that I could communicate at home with the boys, before school and all of that kind of thing. So one morning, that waxy paper came rolling out.
Mylar crazy paper.
And it was this Andrew Wyeth called The Bachelor. And it was stunning. Even on a fax machine thing, it was absolutely stunning. So that was the auction that she bought it. I said, I don't think there's a limit, just buy it. And we did. And yeah.
Whoa. Okay. So Andrew Wyeth's The Bachelor. All right. So maybe in the edit, we can pop this in so the VIP studio audience can get a load of this. And it's funny because we recently talked about the Andrew Wyeth print that was in the living room of the set. The dog laying on the bed. It's called Master Bedroom.
Right.
And that's funny. And we have talked about you and your art collecting, and that's wild that it's an Andrew Wyeth. And then do you remember the name of the Milton Avery? Maybe we can pop that in too in the edit.
Milton Avery was The Seamstress. Yeah,
okay.
The Seamstress by Milton Avery.
And those were two that you did sell at auction.
Yeah, I sold them both at auction, yeah.
Wow. But those were two that you really wanted.
We wanted. The funny thing was we went to, I don't know if the Milton Avery came from Sotheby's or Christie's. It might have come from Christie's. And when you start buying from auction houses, you get invited to certain things. So it was one of the two. Let's just say Christie's for the sake of argument. Here in LA, they had a luncheon for the art sale that was going to be on. And you get invited, and all the pieces that are going to go in auction are hanging all around. And I had a Prendergast that I really thought was great, and I thought I should get a Prendergast. I really like him. And he does a New York motif, and it was called Central Park. It was really beautiful. And so we accepted the invitation, went to the luncheon. They sat us down at the table. The Prendergast was over there, and they sat us down, and right in front of us was the Milton Avery. And I kept trying to look at the Prendergast, and I just kept looking at the Milton Avery, and so did Carlin, and we went, oh, crap. Because it was like twice the price as the Prendergast, but that was it. And it was that kind of thing that when it strikes a chord, then your job is to say, can we, should we, and how far can we go, and all of those things. And we got it reasonably, and it accrued in value, and it was a good investment, as well as the centerpiece of the art collection. And when Sotheby's came to the ranch, they flew up there. They're the people who look at all the art and make sure every flake of paint is there. And they flew up, and they walked into the gallery, and they just stopped.
I bet.
And looked at that Avery, and I went, oh, I must have done something right.
Well, I remember you saying that for Carlin, it would be, instead of jewelry, the thing would be to get a new piece. Maybe.
Yeah, well, the best thing I did was convince her she looked good in pewter. That one is a good, nothing better than a pewter ring. She liked that. And a new dress. How about an Andrew Wyeth, honey? And then,
oh my gosh. Well, do you remember Suzanne's honeymoon story about buying a Cezanne?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember this story?
No.
So her and Alan were in Paris, and they were on their honeymoon, and they, Suzanne, whatever, she's on TV and stuff like that. So they decided they were going to buy this Cezanne, and it was little and it was beautiful, and they fell in love with it. And everyone at the place got really excited, and they're all like, speaking French and just kind of buzzing. And it was $33,000, but, it was it was their honeymoon and it was going to be this thing. And then, of course, there's no phones. They're just kind of, francs to dollars, whatever, figure it out. And then when they went to pay for it, they had made a mistake somewhere and it was $330,000.
Yeah.
For this little
I was going to
Suzanne.
say $30,000 is nothing.
30.
That's like finding a good bottle of wine that they made a mistake on the label.
Yeah. But then I don't remember the end of the story. I don't remember if they had to just kind of bow out and sneak out of there or did they pull the trigger on it? How do I not
don't
remember
think
the
they
end?
had- I don't think they had
No?
a Suzanne.
Okay.
No. That's why I
Well,
don't remember it, because I would have
You would have known.
I would have
No.
clocked on the painting. Yeah.
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 Yeah. The Impressionists. Yeah. Not into it.
You're not into
I'm a snooty art history major. I hate the Impressionists.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Ashcan I can get behind. Impressionists.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, then we're still friends.
Yeah. Yes, of
Okay.
course.
How many paintings did you keep?
I have the one that Carlin gave me, the first one, which is
Oh.
I have the Charles Bragg, and then I have the big one that Kenny helped her buy, which is a Roy Mason. It's beautiful. It's hanging center in the new house. And I have one Sawyer that I kept, and one William Bradford.
So your
That I kept.
heart favorites you kept.
Yeah, I kept the sentimental ones that just have a special meaning for it. William Bradford was a painter that painted big icebergs and things. Before the Ashcan School, he was in the late 1800s. But great light and ice and that kind of look. But huge paintings, some paintings as big as half of the wall, kind of things that they did in those days. And the one I've got is about that big, and it's just an ocean, and far in the distance is an iceberg. And we both thought it was the most ironic painting we could see of the largest thing in the ocean on a painting this big, that small, instead of a big painting of this. So I still have that.
Wow. Very.
Stories.
It must be rare then to have such a small format if you have somebody's typically a large format artist.
Yeah, because they were that sort of Bierstadt period of tonalists and that kind of thing, and they were just outrageous in their big paintings. They're 4x8 or 6x10. They're and the entire Hudson Valley in one painting, that kind of thing. And here's this massive iceberg in a 6x9
A teeny tiny.
tiny painting.
Yeah, I love that. I love a tight little canvas.
Yeah.
How the discipline, the rigor of that.
Yeah.
And it just draws you in. You want to get so close
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Really eyeball it.
Yeah.
I love the little, but I love the huge format too.
Yeah.
But there's something about those tiny ones so it just
Yeah.
sucks you in.
And Connor took a Birchfield. I had a couple of Birchfields, and Pedrick took a Bierstadt. And those are the ones they wanted, and they kept them.
Heirlooms.
Heirlooms, yeah.
Yeah.
Something they can say. And they can sell them if they want or need to. They're CDs on their walls, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that. Especially as an art history snob. I love it.
Oh.
I love people
not a-
actually enjoying it.
You're not a snob.
Well, a little bit. I love to go to a museum. Walk in.
When it comes to slippers, you're a snob.
Well, rightfully so. That's not snobbery. That's just common sense. But
There you go.
museums, I like to just go in and kind of fold my arms and just look around for 5 minutes and then leave.
What do you think of the Jackson Pollock?
No,
Nothing for you?
I don't like it.
I got to tell you, I because of the Ashcan School and my sort of work ethic, paintings was what I thought that was my deal. And doing Dallas on location, I went to the Modern Art Museum in Dallas, Texas. Walking through, looking thing, I turned the corner and there was a Jackson Pollock there, and I was stunned,
Really?
gobsmacked. I must have stood there for 20 minutes looking at it. It changed my whole perception. It changed my attitude. And it not that I went out and bought any kind of painting like that after that, but I was so affected by it that it changed my attitude about the presumption that I knew what art was. Because art is a conversation, and I didn't think you could have a conversation with that. And it yelled at me and said, stand there and shut up. and take a listen, see what this is, and and then I studied Pollock for a while and appreciated what he did, understood what he did, and his wife, So anyway, it changed, my attitude about it.
Well, if you can have an open mind, not just the school that you like, the artist that you like, but to let your eyes be opened in that way to other types of art.
Because how else would those other artists have reached any sort of pinnacle if, it took somebody that grew up with a certain school, and then when the topography changed, a couple of people went, "Oh, this is good," and they started investing in, what's his name? Nasher. He's an art collector, and he was a contractor, a developer, and he developed when big shopping malls got started in this country. He was building a shopping mall a week all over the country and became fabulously wealthy. He's from Dallas, Texas, and it was at a time period when he and his wife would take the steamer or whatever to France, and they'd walk around and they would buy, from Picasso at his house, wherever he lived, whatever he was doing, they would look through his paintings and go, "I'll take that one. Oh, I'd love that one." They have in their home in Dallas, they had a painting that he made of a vase with some flowers in it, wooden flowers in it. And so when they went to his house, they saw that, but they also saw the vase with the wooden flowers, so they bought them both. And in their home, they have the vase and the painting in proximity. But it was before, when they could buy that for a reasonable price. He hadn't reached that, and a Giacometti, they have nightstands for their kids with Giacometti bronzes holding it up that they bought, because they would go talk to him and say, "Could you make us?" And he would make them for them. So, they, in every generation of new artists, somebody has to break up free, and open the gates, the floodgates, and it happens, So there's hope for you.
Perhaps not. Well, listen, VIP studio audience, thank you so much for being with us. We are so grateful to you, Patrick, for coming and joining us.
It's very expensive to be a VIP audience. Jesus.
Not as expensive as an Andrew Wyeth.
Are you hearing this? Anyway, it is always so fun to see you. It is.
Can two of you join for one price?
No.
If you live in the same house.
Yeah. Is there a family plan?
No.
Can Grandma come in and for the same $7?
Absolutely not.
God.
No. Why are you trying to blow up our business over here, Patrick? You just got here.
I want you to be able to afford a Pollock.
Yes, so do we. Hence, no problem.
Oh, that's right. So you need the money.
That's right. No.
It's going up to $8.
No, but we're so excited to see you. We really have been looking forward to this, and we are very, very appreciative to you for coming and spending your night with us. And it is just...
I love being with you, girls.
We love being with you, too. It is just very, very joyful always to see you. So thank you.
VIP studio audience, thank you for joining us here on the Patreon. And as always, I'm Christine Lakin.
And I am Stacy Keanan.
And this guy is
Patrick Duffy.
Patrick Duffy himself.
And we will see you next time. Ciao. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. You can write us at KeenanandLakin@gmail.com and follow us on social at Keanan and Lakin. Big shout out to our producer and editor, Stephen Ray Morris. We love you dearly.